This is Country Living E Oregon Style 61, and we're going to show a video on how we make kraut. We make it the old-fashioned way in a crock, and wait it for about 2 weeks, and then go in and check it every day for skimming or anything like that. I will show that periodically. Now, see the cabbage is there? You can go ahead and hold it up to him if you want to. I got 8 of them. Down a little lower. There you go. I got 8 of them from a place in Vail, and it's called In Bloom Greenhouse and Gardens. And I bought 8 of them, and she gave me a really good discount, and I suggest if anybody's in that area that you go check her out. Anyway, she's on Facebook. She's, you know, I don't know whether she's got a YouTube channel or not, but she's on Facebook. And anyway, she had bunches and bunches of them, and I went ahead and bought 8 of them. So we're gonna start coring this one out and taking the old leaves off the outside, and then we'll Jim's going to show you how he uses the kraut cutter. I will be salting and tasting, and that's how I do it. I can't tell you how much salt to put in, and the only thing I use is salt. It makes its own juice. These are the flat Dutch, by the way, cabbages. They make the best kraut, and I mean, you can make them out of anything, but these seem to be a little sweeter. And yes, you can hear a pressure cooker in the background. I'm canning also at the same time. But I've only got Jim for a few hours. He's got to go back to work here in a couple, 3 hours. And so we're doing the kraut so I don't have to hold it over. The chickens will be happy. They got all kinds of goodies to eat. I'm putting it in a 10-gallon crock. Now, if I can't, for whatever reason, get all 8 of them in, because they're pretty good size, what I'll do is I will cut them up and dehydrate them, and I will use them for soups and that type of stuff later on. But as of right now, we're making kraut. And I don't make them in the jar one at a time. What I do is I put them in a crock, let them ferment, and about 10 days to 2 weeks is when I check it. If it tastes like kraut, it's supposed to taste like, that's when I can it, and that will be a whole different video. Okay, we're back. I'm going to move the camera down just a little bit. There's the kraut cutter. Jim will show you how, and then I'll take the camera over and we'll look inside before I start putting the salt on. And then I'm going to let the camera run while I put the first part of the salt on. It is a messy job. It throws cabbage everywhere. This one happens to be a double-bladed one. I have one that was my grandmother's. It's only got one blade. I guess it's a triple blade, excuse me. The one that was my grandmother's is only a single blade. So we use this one now, and the other one is hanging on my wall. It's not like I haven't used it before, but we're using this one now because the other one I'm afraid is going to break. It's so old. Okay, I'm going to get up closer, so be prepared for going for a ride to where you can see what the kraut looks like. Let's see if I can back it off a little bit. There. Now let's see if I can get down here. This is how small it is. When you use a kraut cutter, yeah, you'll get a little bit extra big pieces. We kind of pull those out, and I put them in, and I can dry those because they're still good. But that's how small it is. You want it fairly fine for good kraut. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the camera back up, and I got to add some salt to this. This is only half of that first head. So, let's see what we can do pulling it back up. Okay, I use regular pickling canning salt when I do kraut. Most of my canning stuff, that's what I use. You don't want to use iodized. You just want to use pickling canning salt or non-iodized. So this is where I get down on my knees. And I don't measure. I just put it in. I guess you can see that. And I make a good layer. And I stir it around the first go around. Kind of mix it in. And then I start mashing. And I use my fist to mash it down. And that releases the juices in the cabbage for making your kraut. And then I taste it. If you get it too salty, you can always rinse it when you open up the jar. You can always rinse it off and get some of the salt off of it. But if you do it right the first time when you're baking it, you don't have to worry about that. And then I'll mix this again. I'll stir it around, and then I really start mashing good. And each time he puts a head in, I add a little bit of salt and I mash. Because now that I put some salt in there, it will start making its own juices. But the key is you got to taste it to see if you got enough salt or whether it's too salty. If it's too salty, add more cabbage. Don't add as much salt. But you stir it around so you can taste it. Like I say, this is a number 10 gallon crock. If you don't have a crock, you can make it in a plastic bucket. You don't have to have a crock to make it. But this is the old-fashioned way, the way they did it years ago. And I guess I'm still kind of stuck on the old-fashioned way. So, I'll catch you in a little bit on the next step. Okay, that's the last one we're going to put in there. We could only get 7 in there. We still have to have room for a plate, and we still have to have room for our weight. Remember, you could also use a plastic bucket besides a crock. Do not use anything metal, though. You make sure it's a plastic bucket or a crock, or anything ceramic type. Looks like we're going to have lots of juice. So in about 10 days to 2 weeks, I'll bring you back on this video. It'll be a whole new video because I'll show you how to can it. But until then, I'll catch you later. Catch you on the next video.